It takes a split second to make an impression, whether you are a brand as an individual or whether you are a brand as an organization, as a corporate body. One way or another, we all are going to operate or conduct our businesses depending on how we've branded ourselves. That means that a personal brand is something of very extremely importance to each and every one of us. And I want to start discussing in these episodes some of the things that are detrimental to a good personal brand. See, whether you like it or not, you are a brand, and that's what we shared in the previous episode. Every one of us has a brand, the way we are perceived by our environments, the way we're perceived by our audiences, the way we're perceived even by our own detractors, maybe our own enemies, our own Goliath. They do that because we do have a brand. And today we're going to discuss the first cardinal mistake of having a personal brand.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
Increasingly, the message of personal branding is becoming extremely relevant every single working day in this day and in this age, even as we have seen that we've been moving from one revolution to another. We started the Stone Age, and then we went to the Agrarian Revolution, the Industrial Revolution, and then we started the Work Revolution, where people were working in industries, and then we came into the Knowledge Age, and now I believe we're smack in the middle in the age of purpose, and personal branding is going to play a very critical role in this. And the importance of personal branding, even as we're going to be discussing and sharing in these episodes, is that it's the one that is going to cause you to conduct business or to be engaged in business or in providing value to society. You're going to provide value to society through your personal brand. Actually, no one is going to help you, or no one is going to give you an opportunity to be someone of relevance or someone who adds value if they do not see you as a brand. And I'm talking individuals. I'm not even talking about corporations, and I'm not talking about big time organizations. I'm talking about individuals. The problem with us is that we've always been branding ourselves with our academic papers, saying that I have a degree in this, I have a degree in that, I have a diploma in this, and I have a diploma in that. But I realize that the world has moved so much away from those industrial revolution ages where people needed to have degrees and diplomas in order to be employed. Right now, the world has very many opportunities for people to solve problems even as they arise. And as you will have noticed that these big time organizations like IBM, Google, and Apple, and so on and so forth, they are no longer making it a requirement for someone to have a degree to be employed by them. What are they looking for? They're looking for functionality, they're looking for problem solving, they're looking for value addition, and they're looking for solutions. They're looking for talent, and they're looking for gifts. And those things are what will form part and parcel of your personal brand. So you'd better have a personal brand ready, being prepared, being sharpened every single working day, so that you can become someone who adds value into this world and someone who is actually seen to add value. A brand is what is going to cause you to be attracted, kind of like standing out from the crowd. And believe me, there are very many crowds out there in any niche. You talk about motivational speakers. I mean, everyone out there can just go to Google and cram a few quotes from Les Brown and Helen Keller, and they come out saying that they're motivational speakers. So you need to have a personal brand that is going to make you to stand out from that noise. There are very many people out there who are saying they are authors, and they can easily go to Google also and just put PDFs together and slap their name on top of it, and then they call themselves authors. You realize that an author must brand themselves accordingly, and there are very many ways in which that one can be done. Actually, there is a template through which every one of us, although we are totally different and totally unique one from another with different passions and different blessings and capacities, there is a template through which all of us can be able to brand ourselves, even though we are unique. Therefore, today I want to start dealing with this aspect that I've called the habits adopted by lousy brands. Now, you need to realize beforehand that you are a brand. In other words, everyone is a brand. And so, by saying that, I can tell you this, that one of the biggest habits adopted by lousy brands is the habit of ignorance. In other words, you do not know that you are a brand. You do not know that you have a brand. You do not know that you're transacting business with a brand. You do not know that you are perceived because of your brand habits. Whether you are an individual or you are an organization, it makes no difference. The biggest cardinal offense is peddling a brand when you are not sure it is yours. And I'm just, going to camp there a little bit, because we are living in a world where people are not themselves. And let me tell you this, even before we can go very far with this message of personal branding. The one thing that is absolutely critical about personal branding is authenticity. Not just personal branding, even corporate branding and so on. Authenticity means that you are true to yourself. You are passionate with what you're doing. You are born to do that particular thing. But when you think that you can go to Google, and I keep saying this, there is some talk that I attended, and this speaker basically had gone to YouTube and had listened to as many of Miles Monroe's quotes and teachings as possible. And now this man comes and he starts teaching us, quote unquote, teaching us about purpose. And every single anecdote that he's throwing out there, I'm identifying with it, because I've also listened to Miles Monroe. And the problem is, he's not giving credit to where credit is due. And also, he's not necessarily building it so that he infuses his own personality, his own experience, his own stories into those anecdotes. In other words, just cut, copy, and paste. And that is inauthenticity. So the first cardinal mistake that people normally make with these lousy brands is ignorance, and also inauthenticity, in that they are peddling a brand that is not necessarily theirs. It is okay to have these quotes by T.D. Jakes and by Miles Monroe and by these big time people, Helen Keller, Marianne Williamson, and by Roosevelt and by Abraham Lincoln and by Mark Twain. I mean, it is okay to have these people, giants in the industry who have spoken some things that are so profound, the Maya Angelou's of this world, the Oprahs of this world, and so on. But it is okay to refer to them, and also to make sure that we're giving them credit to where it is due. If we are not, then we can be even smarter and start to put our own DNA from the concepts or from the precepts that we've heard these people talking about. When you hear Jim Rohn speaking, when you hear these mighty people in the motivational industry, Zig Ziglar, you hear them speaking and they share of a particular concept, then you can go into your life and look for a story that is relevant, that is reflecting to that particular aspect, and use it. So ignorance about your brand, especially your authenticity about your brand, is the first mistake that is made by lousy brands. You see, you need to know who you are. You need to own who you are before you can show who you are. Those are the three things about personal branding that I'm going to discuss even in the succeeding episodes. But the first thing is knowing who you are. Basically, it is the biggest thing all over the world, around the globe, when it comes to knowledge of oneself. Very many people can tell you theories about the Pythagoras theorem, theories about the butterfly effect, theories about this and theories about that in physics, in mathematics, in quantum, whatever. And they can quote this and they can quote that, but you put a microphone in their face and ask them, who are you? They get stuck. They cannot tell you who they are. They cannot passionately address you and say this is what they are and that's the value they are adding and this is the kind of people that they are called to serve and so on. So the first cardinal mistake is not to know who you are. See, not knowing that you are indeed a brand is the first mistake that you can make about personal branding. We've been raised to think and to believe that the only people with brands are either corporations, big-time corporations, or people who have academic qualifications. You see, this world has been created in such a way that every human being, every last one of us matters. And we matter because every single one of us has a brand, has an intention, has a purpose over their lives. And the only way we are going to make sure that we are relevant in this world and that we exemplify the gifts and the talents and the purpose and the potential that has been placed inside of us is to create a brand and to operate through a brand and to exemplify our value or our solutions into this world through a personal brand. So we need to come to that level where we realize that I am a brand. Listen, I am a brand. You are a brand. And being a brand is not necessarily that you have a title this and a title that. Being a brand is that you have strengths, you have passions, you have solutions that you are customizing or that you're creating to a particular audience. Whatever kind of human being you are, there is always something that you can do that can serve somebody else. And that is basically going to be done through a personal brand. And the easiest way you can start looking for where you can start getting the aspects of your personal brand is where your gifts and your talents are. And by the way, when you talk about gifts and talents, very many people will tell you I'm not talented because they think they are not a Ronaldo, they're not a Lionel Messi, they're not a LeBron James, they're not a Michael Jackson, they're not a Barack Obama. So they think that they are not talented, that they're not gifted in one way or another. There are different ways in which you are special. In other words, you can do some things that nobody else either cares about or is capable of doing. It doesn't have to be a major thing out there that is, vibrant and it's being beamed on TV screens and so on. No, as long as it is unique, it is simple, it's something you're passionate about, something that you have a capacity to do, it forms part of your gifts and part of your talents. It could be you are in love with nature. That is something that is unique with you. You can start branding yourself that way so that someone is able to interact with you from that particular angle. But we miss very many opportunities in life because we are not careful that we have brands and people always perceive us as a brand. Whether we know it or not, I am perceiving you as a brand. So the things that you speak about, the values that you espouse, the things that you're passionate about, the things that you comment about, the things that you run after, the things that you learn about, they form part of what you're passionate about and part of what your brand is going to be. So the first mistake is ignorance. And so to deal with the ignorance, you need to know that you have a brand. And if you don't know about it, you start searching for it and you start branding yourself that way. Tomorrow we are going to discuss something else, which is a big mistake of lousy brands. Until then, bye-bye. A special shout out to my mentor Jeffrey Howard of Visionary Business University, found at mastermindmentor.com, who has graciously provided me with the soundtrack and the introductory track to this podcast. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.